Tanzanian population is skewed at the bottom. It's skewed by the youth population. I don't know if you're able to see it, but between 15 to 34 combined, that's where you get about 52%. So really, Tanzanian population is very young. It's a youth population, and then again, and this is around. It's an opportunity for those of us who have an interest in technology. But most important, like in terms of the national commitment around the policies, it's really recognize youth as a key driver for economy. I think that's very important to amplify so that we know there is that kind of ownership. Of course, to what extent these policies are implemented, that's another discussion, but really there is that recognition. When you look on the National Youth Policy, as I said, current in review, look on the National Strategy for Youth Involvement in Agriculture, 5 years development plan 2, National Financial Inclusion Framework. I don't know how many of you know that Vision 2025 really, they really amplify youth as a strategic population. And of course, there are strategies in place to really invest on this group. So, you know, this is it's a market. There is a lot of potential around this group. Again, very quick and most important, according to the data we have, and here I'm referring to the financial inclusion study. It's called a Finset study. Of the last one is from 2017, and by the way, this study is the national study done by FSDT and the National Bureau of Statistics. And so if you look on that study in terms of the findings, overall, youth are better educated compared to the adult population. Of course, even and as we proceed with the secondary schools at the ward level in the rural areas, so you could, if you go through the data, you could also see, despite there is a slight difference between the urban youth and rural youth in terms of education. So of course, I'm not talking about the university level. So even youth at the rural areas are slightly better educated. But again, if you now start to disaggregate between male and females, of course, you could see that gender disparity is very, very high. And of course, in terms of literacy and numeracy level, there has been a progress, yeah? But also, so in terms of, so you can see that kind of eligibility. But of course, there are also, like many youth, despite the fact that there has been a progress in terms of youth acquiring things such as mobile phones, which is a good entry point for the digital financial services, for example. But still, youth, especially youth from 16 to 24, most of them do not own phone. But surprisingly, youth across, like if you compare in terms of phone ownership vis-a-vis the adult population, it's a little lower. But surprisingly, they have access to internet. So, I mean, I'll be very confident to say that youth are technological savvy. So like when you were asking, like how now are they getting access to internet? Of course, some will use the phone, like the smartphones in the household, whether it's their mother, from their mother, their father, or like a brother or sister or a neighbor, but they are able to access internet. Or if they are, many of them, they're also saying they are going to the internet cafe, but really they are accessing and they use the internet. The other thing, of course, one of the other things, it's a challenge, but provide an opportunity for digitization in terms of innovating for alternative things such as collateral. This youth, and when you talk about access to financial services, of course, they don't own land, for example. And we know in a traditional way of accessing credits, land, it's very key. And so they do not own land. Yes, but then as I said, there is an opportunity around innovating for alternative collateral. So in a nutshell, this is the young person we are talking about. So you could see, it's a very powerful group, and if if investment are done wisely, then we have an opportunity to transform our economy and our GDP growth in general. So very quick, before even I go to the opportunities. So what are some of the challenges this youth group is facing, despite on some of the strengths I've tried to highlight? And now here, specifically in the financial sector. In the financial sector, in terms of population access, and I'm not talking about using access to form of financial services, we have made progress very quick. I want to show you this slide. We have grown by 2017, we had reached 65%, growing from 58% in 2013. However, now when you start to see how youth are faring, still there is a huge gap, of course, in terms of youth vis-a-vis adults, but also within the age. There is also a age gap in terms of among youth, in terms of the access to form of financial services. So as you can see, for example, 16 to 24, they are highly excluded. Of course, you can see between 25 to 35 there, but yeah, so that overall youth are excluded, but more so the youth are 16 to 24. So of course, as I said, I'll use a lot of examples from the financial sector and try to highlight how best the digitization can solve this problem. So some of the insights, for example, why youth are excluded in the form of financial service. You could see, for example, now looking on the age gap, access to mobile phone, as I said, access to mobile money. As I said, phone is an entry point to the digital economy, or the use of digital financial services. You could see, and this, please note that that is not youth vis-a-vis adults, but this is the youth among youth. So you could see in terms of use of the mobile money, youth between 16 to 24, 57%, 25 to 35, 66. So you can see that gap. But also in terms now of mobile ownership, there is a 15% gap between youth aged 16 to 24 and youth aged between 25 to 35. Yeah. And remember, here I'm talking about the age gap. I've not even talked about the gender disparities between female and male. So what I want to put forward is so looking at the age gap is one thing, but when you go deeper in terms of looking on the difference between male and female, even the gap is even more higher. So, for example, I have data here for the rural youth. This is for the rural youth only in terms of mobile phone ownership. Then you see 55% of youth male owning mobile phones, but 30% of female youth owning mobile phones. So this is specifically for the rural. So what does it mean? So even when you start innovating or onboarding youth to the digital ecosystem, it means at the end of the day, you could really will be able to see this kind of a gender gap or a gender divide. So that's why at the beginning I said it's so important that when we are innovating around youth needs and aspirations, then we really need to take into account the gender divide and again address accordingly by being able to understand what is it really limiting female youth, for example, from becoming very active in terms of accessing and use technology for their growth. So that's one of the insights. Another challenges youth are facing to help us see whether there is an opportunity in the digital ecosystem, of course, talk about now access to finance, for example. Youth, they lack collateral. So if they lack collateral, especially youth 16 to 24, So what does it mean? Are we going to say, of course, one of the strategies will be we need to make sure that the maybe the land law, even the policies around land managed by the ministry, overseen by the Ministry of Land, make sure that every youth is able to access and own land. That could be one of the examples. But for example, me who comes from the Jaga land, that land, that land is not even there for the parents to be able to distribute to their children. And of course, even from our culture, if you're a female, then you you risk a chance of getting that inheritance. So what can we do in the today's world? So if they like collateral, why can't we use digitization really to innovate around alternative collateral for youth? For example, having a digital solution that will enable you to build their credit score, and that credit score to be used as a collateral. So you see, we have this challenge, but at the same time, we see opportunities around digitization to address the exit challenges for youth. Of course, lack of financial history, and then they are not credit worth. But then why can't we use digitization to come up with solutions that will be able to will support youth to document their financial history, like for example, in terms of like using, for example, digital financial products where we will be able to see youth saving and lending behavior, and that can be used as a collateral or can be used as a basis to organize for credit solution for young people, be it female or male. Of course, we know youth have low level of economic engagement, and most of them are still dependent or have low income. And so why can't we use digitization then to come up with things like, for example, a digital platform enabling youth access to market domestically and externally. Imagine, for example, when we have youth who are entrepreneurs, but then they're getting challenges to access markets for their produce, if they are youth farmers. So why can't we have those kind of things? Why can't we have, through digitization, having like a digital platform which will help you to seek for jobs, even do online jobs, so things like that. So we see how the different opportunities around that. Of course, I'll provide more insights in the following slides. We know another challenge, of course, youth lack formal identification, and especially youth below 18. And we know, for example, again, an example from the financial sector. For a young person or for any person to be able, for example, to open an account, you need, one of the things is your formal identification, whether it's a voter's ID or a national identity card or identity number, right? But then we know, and this it's about the people who are 18 and above, who are the ones who qualify to have this kind of the national identification. So it's obvious that youth between 16 and 17 are left behind. And because, without that, then you lack the KYC, the know your customer, which is the key criteria for any financial service provider to give you services, yeah. And of course, we also know, like right now, for you to acquire a SIM card, then you need to have a national identity number. And then, for example, most of us who understand the Tanzanian context, we have, as I said, we have 16 to 17 years old already transacting the market. You talk about boda, the young people working in the saloons, the damboga, the ones who are selling vegetables, etc., etc. Our house helpers, whether males or females. And so these people use their phones to transact. For example, a boda, it's through his or her phone that It's when they are able to get the customers. And most of the times the payments are done through that way. Our helpers at home, they normally send money to their families through their phone. So when they are not able to have a SIM card, because they do not have a national, like a kind of identification, then we are depriving them from benefit from their form of financial inclusion, form of financial services. And so how best can now technology address this challenge? We also know even youth above 18, not all of them have their not all of them have the identification number. And so it mainly because maybe of the procedures around getting that identifications or the requirements. I remember at some point I was talking to one young person, of course, above 18, and he was like, the time I'll use to make follow-up and like in terms of times and days, I better continue working with what I'm doing, because this is where I'm getting the money for my daily needs and being able to sustain my family. So how can digitization innovate around these challenges and making sure, for example, youth below 18 are able to use alternative KYCs or identifications, but also even youth above 18, the process is a way addressed, or a way of making it very easy using digitization, and then they're able to acquire their identifications on time without facing different challenges, as I've explained some of them. And then, of course, another challenge, again, they lack relevant financial solutions, and mainly because our financial sector, of course, there has been a progress, but still very traditional. Then how can we innovate around technology? First, to be able to understand the needs and their financial behavior, and then use technology to innovate around solutions that will enable youth to engage actively in the financial sector, but also derive value by being able to access capital and invest, whether in their businesses or in whatever they are doing. Another challenge, of course, when you are promoting youth growth, whether to be able to benefit from the finances or to be able to grow their businesses, etc., we also need to build youth ability to manage risk and absorb shock. Yeah. And so again, this is an opportunity where we can use technology to really leverage this area and benefit the young people. But again, from the data we have, of course, youth, because of many reasons, are hardly making investment in insurance. And you can see the average nationally, it's only 15%, but then rural youth it's 10%. So that's is a nutshell in terms of who are the youth we are talking about, and some few challenges they are facing. So if that is the case, then how best can we capitalize on the opportunities in the digital ecosystem to really unlock the relevant opportunities and capacitate youth to jump on those opportunities and really ride upon them and be able to benefit? So you'd see, at least I've tried to kind of visualize the digital ecosystem, starting from the digitization, then digitalization, and then arriving to the digital economy, which at the end of the day, you then see young people, of course, being able to access more jobs, raise their income, contribute to the national GDP, which at the end of the day will trickle down to their well-being. So the key point I want to drive forward here is that for a country like Tanzania, even before starting thinking about the existing opportunity, we really need to have a youth-centric digital ecosystem in a manner that, of course, previous, as I had said previous, really been able to understand the youth market, because the youth are not homogeneous. Youth have diverse needs, and for example, when you look on in terms of regions, urban and rural, in terms of male and female youth, there are a lot of needs, challenges, and hence you need to be very careful when you're thinking about digitization and opportunities around you. So in line with that, then how best now we digitize, whether it's an analog solution to digital, existing analog solution to digital, or really come up with the solutions in line with their needs and their context. That's so important. So at the end of the day, when we digitize, then we digitize for the reasons or needs pertaining to youth. At the end of the day, coming up with relevant, real-time, and responsive solutions. Then, after having that deeper understanding and required solution, then in line with that, then it's very easy then to know how best now to onboard youth in terms of them being able to use the tools and services, the digital tools and services. Maybe imagine you have designed maybe an e-commerce platform, or maybe there is online jobs platform, or maybe it's a capacity building platform. Then now how best do you build the skills and talents for youth to be able to now actively use and then benefit from the solutions developed. Then if you're able to do that, then it's when you'll be able to see youth, Tanzanian youth, really benefit from the digital economy, being able to engage in the markets platforms, selling and buying produce, even be able to cross borders and look for opportunities, whether it's markets or jobs, and things related to that. And at the end of the day, we'll be able to address things such as unemployment. We don't need to have youth having only one job. For example, the digital online jobs, it can make youth earning more than one income. And so these are the things we really need to think around. But again, this cannot happen overnight. As I said, enabling environment is very critical. Stakeholders, public and private, coming together, invest and drive. And so important, making sure that we are building the youth capability to be able to benefit, but also compete globally by using the digital solutions, and of course, all opportunities offered in the digital ecosystem. So then, if that is the case, and if as Tanzanian we are able to capitalize on the digital ecosystems in terms of what is able to offer as an individual, as society, and as a country, under the leadership of the government and private sector, then we should be able to see opportunities such as being able to develop relevant digital solutions. I spoke about, for example, digital saving solutions for young people, insurance solutions, e-commerce, learning platform, etc., etc. And that's here is where we really see the role of fintechs, financial service providers, regulators, policymakers, and everyone in the digital ecosystems. Of course, youth themselves sitting at the driver's seat. Another opportunity, and of course, these are the things which have been seen happening in the market, is really, of course, I must say we are not yet there. We have a long way to go, but I'm sure some of you have been very familiar with online learning platforms, as I was saying, as an opportunity to build their youth skills and capability. Some of you have heard about, for example, Noah Ubongo. This Noah Ubongo was initially funded by FSDT, and it's basically a learning platform offering entrepreneurship skills for young people, and it is through a video series, and you can even like see them or like being able to go through the different video series through the YouTube. I understand it's also posted in it is also posted in the Instagram, Twitter, you know. Yeah, so really it has been very instrumental in terms of building their youth capacity, those who are able to access their online through using internet, whether from their phones or from relative phones or through the internet cafe. Yeah, and we have been receiving a quite good response, of course, initially, but also how it is progressing. And I understand it had won an award. And so these are the things which we really want to capitalize on. I'm also aware, for example, of the basic online platform. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, and especially the youth who are listening to my presentation. So this is the online platform, and I think it is called Business Entrepreneurship Skills Platform, and it's basically providing life skills to youth, entrepreneurship skills and business management, financial literacy, and if I am not mistaken, also like through the capacity building, also it provides the seed fund for the young people who have been able to go through all the topics and be able to come up with a business idea. And it has been able to reach, I think, more than 130,000 youth, both male and females, and of course with a good number from the rural youth. And currently they are developing an applications like for the non-smartphone users, and of course mainly is rural youth, to be also able to benefit from the content provided by the platform. And so these are the things, some of the examples where youth can really benefit online. I know many of you, the Tanzanian youth, you know about the Femina HIP. This is a Tanzanian-based civil society organization targeting in and out of school youth, of course, using social media platforms to speak about health issues, health and sexual reproductive health rights, youth economic development, citizen engagement, and things like that. And there has been a lot of engagement. I remember visiting some of the rural areas and saw some newspaper and FEMA magazines, and I was like, oh, so they are really reaching young people, and even made some groups, FEMA clubs, students FEMA clubs, and they are even able, you could see the way they are engaging even social media, the way they are able to get the content. And so to me, I think that online learning platform can be very instrumental. Of course, I think most of us know, like for example, Shule Direct, especially during the corona, when schools were closed, many students benefited from the online learning through Shule Direct. So this is a very good opportunity. And then now, how best can we capitalize on this and really build more relevant platforms for the rural youth, for example, for the urban youth, bringing a lot of content, different content in line with the youth aspirations. And you could imagine how many youth will be able to benefit from the online platform. Of course, another opportunity, again, is the e-commerce platform and social media. How best can we capacitate youth to use social media positively? For example, to promote their businesses, through Instagram, through Twitter, but also e-commerce platform for them to be able to sell and buy. I understand that in Tanzania we have several platforms. I think some of them are no longer there. I remember, for example, Kivuko, Jumia. Of course, they weren't specific for youth, but of course, there is that potential of really being able to design a platform. It can be for everyone, but really also accommodating the youth needs. And then our young people will be able to engage actively in that e-commerce platform. Can you, I'm trying to imagine a young person for example, in Njombe, or a group of young people in Njombe, planting avocados. And then there is an opportunity from the online platform for them to sell the avocados. So that would be very, very strategic. Maybe it will promote more young people to engage in agriculture. Imagine a young person engaging in agriculture value chain, or a young person as an entrepreneur, being able to use online platform to sell their businesses. But of course, I understand they also need, as I said, to build their capability in terms of being able to brand their product or their produce, meeting the international standards so that they're able to penetrate even the external markets. But there are this opportunity, and this I think is something as Tanzanian, and given right now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, it's so important when we want to promote youth active engagement in the enterprise, youth active engagement in agriculture, and so forth. Really, to me, I think e-commerce or online market platform is a way to go. The other thing, I will not speak much, but I've talked about several times about the digital online jobs platforms. I don't know how many of you know the Fever online platform. It's a global platform. And if you go there, for example, you see a lot of young people with different talents and experiences, and they are able to access jobs in the freelance offering freelance services to different businesses, and businesses people are going there seeking for those talents. So as I said, again, since young people are flexible, then it also allows more flexibility, making young people to become even more creative. It has an opportunity for young people to have more than one income, And at the end of the day, like for the country like Tanzania, then we've really been able to reduce unemployment for young people. And again, shifting from the traditional way of doing things. For those who participated in it was yesterday, morning plenary session, I think you heard about the initiatives from Kenya. Of course, we also had some representatives from Tanzania, from Empower, and the other led from, I think I remember, but I think there are those kind of initiatives. But then really, to what extent these kind of initiatives, and of course we need to open up more, respond to the needs of the young people, different segments of the young people, so that all of them are able to benefit. But most important, how are we building skills and talent of these young people to be able to benefit from the online jobs? Because if I'm to access a service or request for freelance consultant online, then I want a person who has that capacity and capability to deliver quality job and on time. But again, thinking of now how this can also be promoting both male and female equally to benefit from these opportunities. And to me, it's not only for the opportunities offered by the digitization, but also ability of young people to be the drivers of the technology. So think about artificial intelligence and use of robots. Imagine when you have built the capacity and capability of our young people then to be able, for example, to use robots, artificial intelligence to enable quick and quality service delivery in our hospital, in our education, being able to become a data-centric country for development, data collection, the usage of data, and things like that. So at the end of the day, so it's not only opportunities for youth to grow, but also digitization provide an opportunity for young people to transform our country and, of course, our economy. So that's very quick on some of the opportunities, which I think are very like low-hanging fruits and can be easily offered by the digitization. But also now, what has been the FSDT experience? We at FSDT, what are we doing? And as I said, to us, digitization is a key pillar or a key vehicle to deliver to the market we are saving, and more specifically to young people. So yeah, very quick on FSDT experience. As I said, to us, deeper understanding of the youth market is very central. And we have been doing that all the time. And of course, as one of the examples, we have a study on bridging the gender gap in the financial sector. And you can see this report even in our website. And this has been very key in driving our response to the youth market, especially on how best to use technology. As I said, honestly, there is nothing like saying a youth group. Youth group is very, very diverse. Even youth group in the urban area, they are so different. They have different needs. It depends on their context. Even when, for example, you talk about border, when you dig deeper, then you find them, they have some different interests and aspirations. So even when innovating, for example, a digital solution for the border, for example, you also have to take into account some other specific needs. So again, I want to push forward and put a lot of emphasis on the need to understand the youth market in terms of female and male needs, but also the needs as per their age. So that to us is very critical, and we are doing it all the time. So at FSDT, we have something called Finset Lab, where within that we also have something called Finset Data Disrupt. So to add, this is an infrastructure where we use that to work with different partners, government, financial service providers, the fintech space to innovate around youth solutions, and then support, of course, innovation in terms of design, and then pilot and scale up of those solutions to the targeted group. And when I said even through this space, we engage your decision makers and regulators. Of course, when you talk about KYC, like the know your customer, for the person to be able to access the form of financial service. So we have, as a country, I'll say, we have a very standardized, like the requirement or the KYC. And in most cases, as I said earlier, doesn't respond to the youth needs. Imagine you have a young person, 16 to 17, who do not have, by any means, she or he cannot acquire a national identity. So how can we innovate around that? You have this young person who do not have collateral, things such as land or any other movable asset. How can we innovate around that? So I spoke about, for example, having digital record keeping solutions, digital solutions that will document credit score for these people, product that will be able to show saving and lending behavior of this young person. So that's where we do this kind of things. Like really, if we are going to develop a specific solution, there is a requirement of change in a regulation or here and there, then that's where we also engage with the government or the regulator in this space to see to make things possible. And then maybe I'll give some of the specific products already in the process. For example, we are working with NMB to come up with a youth solution called the Digital Kibubu. And of course, keeping in mind youth saving behavior. One of the findings from our Finset studies, youth saving behavior is different from the adult. For example, for them, merry-go-rounds works better for them. And I think if we have youth in this space, they'll agree with me. It's not like, savings, for example, in the Bikoba, and then getting your money and interest at the end of the year. The youth, they have been telling us, and of course, when I engage with them in Swahili, they always tell me, Dada, mimi nataka kutoka. So it's like, I want to buy a phone. So we attend, so this week I'll be the one receiving the money. I want to buy a phone. I want to buy a TV. I want to buy a boda boda. So it's not about waiting for a year. I want, like, after this week or tomorrow, I'm the one who am receiving that. So how can we innovate around that kind of behavior? So those are the things we are doing at the Finset Lab. We are also working with one fintech to develop a solution for the matchingers, another solution with an insurance company to come up with a youth relevant insurance product. We're also working with another fintech on developing a solution for student transport, of course, trying to address the transport problem in Dar es Salaam. So there is that digital app which at some point will come out. There is another product. So we have a number of youth products already in the pipeline. Of course, I won't speak much about that because of the ethics requirements, but keep your eyes open. When these products are out, you should be able to get more information. So engage in our social media, Twitter, Instagram. So we normally share our reports, our new products and things like that. So yeah, so this is really an infrastructure where we work with different stakeholders to innovate, not only for youth, of course. We also innovate around the needs of women, as I said, SMEs, and also even the farmers. Another product I really want to share with you, at some point we worked with one insurance company to innovate a digital solution for young females, the digital micro health insurance. It is called Dada Card. I don't know how many of you have heard about that. Of course, it was financed by, supported by FSDT. Really, the main objective was to change the young girls or the young women behavior in terms of them being able to start internalizing the need of them being able to manage risk and absorb shock. Because you can imagine for many, not only youth, even adults, for example, engaging the micro enterprise. There are this, for example, Mama Mboga Mboga, when her son or her daughter is sick, then she will use that money, like the capital for her business, to take care of the sick child, and then that's the end of it. Even for the young people, imagine, for example, for a boda boda, when the boda boda get an accident, in most cases that's the end of it, because if he or she had a small saving, then that saving is going to be used for the treatment, then that's the end of it. So really, it was about building that culture to young females to start thinking about their health, investing in their health, changing their mindset, and making them become the women who will be able to sustain and who will be able to make sure that they have enhanced their ability to manage shocks in terms of having insurance, not only for health, for their health, but also insurance to insure their business and things like that. And that product is going very well. And of course, we supported the pilot, but we are aware that they are continuing onboarding a lot of young.
Hi, Anna. Anna,
yes.
We have 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, I'm just. Sorry. So yeah, the other thing, and maybe in terms of conclusion, we are also using like social media or like online platform to really amplify youth voices and needs, and it has been very instrumental to us because we have been able to receive feedback from the young people in terms of the kind of the financial services they want, what's supposed to be fixed, and through the feedback, we have been able even to make them engage with the regulators with financial products, and it has been very, very powerful. So I also see that an opportunity using the digital space to amplify youth voices in terms of their needs and their aspirations. So I'm sorry, thank you very much. I think let me end here, and very quick, I will go to the Q&A box to see if there is any question. And my apology for taking a long time to share my insights and FSDT experience. So there is this question from Fridolin. I hope he's a man. Nice clarifications, Anna, but I have a minor question. I'm dealing with software development, but it seems like in Tanzania, the use or interactivity of website by cyberspace users is a bit low compared to others. How can Tanzania make strategies on improving this interactivity? Another question, how Tanzania can make sure that people with less access to digital tools be able to address their positive ideas globally? Yeah, and I think Fridolin, in my presentation, really, I said clearly, there is a need, first of all, to have political will, but also enabling a policy environment so that we, in a way, at the end of the day, will promote people's active engagement in the digital space. But again, skills and capability building for the people to know the benefit and actively engage. I know we are a bit behind, for example, compared to a country like Kenya, but I think awareness creation also is so important. But more important to me, I think, is political will. Political will followed by awareness creation and relevant support and tools. I think we should be able to see more people engaging. Yeah. So let me yeah, so I think those are the two questions. That is my quick response. I do not see if there is I don't know if there is any hand raised. Let me see. I don't know. Admin, can you see if we have people with their hand raised? Hello?
No, we don't have anyone with hands raised. So you're okay.
So maybe 1 minute for, like, if we have additional contributions from their participants, if you have any comment, any addition or something you want to share with us for us to also learn from you. 1 minute. I know we are running Yeah, it's already, it's already time, but just in case we have people who want to contribute or share their insights on the same subject. Yeah, so if no, I don't know, maybe the presentation was well understood or just, but I really want to thanks everyone. I can see we have 19 participants. Thank you very much for your time, really being in this space to listen to my presentation. I really appreciate, and I look forward to further engage with you. Please feel free to engage in our Twitter, in our Instagram, in our website. If you're in Tanzania, you can even visit our offices so we can continue engaging further and learn from each other. So thank you very much.